If you own a Duramax, they're pretty reliable and durable and they have good performance, but all those things can be improved, and we're gonna do all those things today, and I'll show you how to do it. This is an LML, it's a 2015, it runs great, but it has the dreaded CP4. If you know what a CP4 is, they can fail and send metal shavings throughout your whole fuel system, and it basically just wrecks the entire truck.
I've done a lot of work to this truck to include a custom tune and other performance parts, and this truck has been uber reliable. At least so far. Not only is it reliable, it's quiet, comfy, it has all the tech I could want, and it gets the best fuel mileage out of any vehicle that I own. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. So far in this truck, I've done suspension mods, reverse level, cognito upper control arms, PPE upgraded steering components, a whole bunch of lighting and aesthetic upgrades, stereo upgrades, you name it. And this truck has been super reliable. But really at any given moment, this fuel pump could fail without any kind of warning.
I think we're good.
Filed a $50 million lawsuit.
Suing a lawsuit.
Lawsuit is being filed.
Filing a petition.
Lawsuit.
Massive $50 million verdict ended in a settlement.
General Motors has agreed to pay a $35 million settlement.
Neither GM nor Ford knew that when they switched from a CP3 in their diesel trucks to a CP4 in their newer body styles, that they would have a massive lawsuit on their hands. Basically what happens is these CP4s slowly fail and send metal shavings and shrapnel throughout the entire fuel system.
Everything that fuel touches, you will need to replace.
Now, some might not think that's a big deal. The metal's not going into the engine itself, but the problem is it's going to wreck your injectors, the fuel pump itself, all of the hard and soft lines, the rails, the tank, everything's done, and this is a $10,000 to $15,000 fix.
So to fix that, I've got to put in a CP3, which is in the valley of the engine. The CP3 is actually connected to the cam. On a diesel, your fuel pump is driven by the engine, so it's a lot more involved than just a regular old gas truck. We're going to get it done in this video, even though I'm not a diesel mechanic or any kind of mechanic, actually.
Generally, all Duramax variations are pretty darn reliable, don't need a lot of work, save maybe the LV7 with its injector problems, or the LLY with its overheating and head gasket issues, but I'd say the LML is one of the more reliable engines that Duramax has ever produced, save for the CP4. Luckily, there's a bolt-on solution to fix that problem.
I have the solution to all those problems right here in this box. Oh, now this is fantastic. Picture freaking instructions. Absolutely love that. The main piece of the puzzle is right here. Beautiful new CP3 pump. Excellent packaging as well.
This is an S&S Diesel Motorsport 50-state legal CP3 conversion for the LML. And I got this from Diesel Power Products, and it comes with everything to install. I mean, every nut, bolt, fuel line, connector, etc. It's plug and play and requires no tuning.
Diesel Power Products. Today we're talking to our 11 to 16 Duramax.
Luckily, my CP4 hasn't failed, at least not that I'm aware of. The truck is running and driving perfectly, but this will pretty much bulletproof this engine.
If you want to extend the longevity and efficiency of your common rail in your Duramax, make sure you check us out.
The only thing that's left to do is start tearing the truck apart, get the old CP4 out, and get the new CP3 in. And as a forewarning, no, this did not go perfectly smooth at all.
No. Ouch. God, I couldn't make any more of a mess if I tried. You gotta be kidding me.
In my opinion, every LML needs a tune, it needs steering upgrades, and it needs a CP3 swap. All the other things I have listed here should be done, but aren't a necessity. Luckily for me, I only have one thing on this list I haven't done yet. Due to the delicate nature of all the little particles of dirt and debris that can get in your fuel system and basically cause catastrophic failures, which is exactly what I'm trying to avoid here, S&S recommends cleaning the engine bay. Now, mine isn't particularly dirty, but there's a decent amount of tree debris that has fallen in the cowl, plus I haven't cleaned it in a couple years, so I'm going to quickly hose it off, do a little bit of degreasing, nothing crazy. It's perfectly fine to degrease and pressure wash your engine bay, just don't obviously go crazy. These connectors are made to get a little wet. It's not going to hurt anything. And after a quick cleaning, the first thing is to disconnect the batteries and then start tearing everything off the top of this engine to get access to the CP4 pump in the valley.
And I got this entire kit from Diesel Power Products, but they have a ton more other products on their website. So check out the link below if you have a diesel and would like to upgrade it or do any kind of modification to it.
So I'm going to use a tool that I've had probably for years and bought it specifically just for working on the Duramax. And now, finally get to use it. Oh yeah, pretty freaking legit.
This topside creeper was definitely a necessity, but that doesn't mean it was comfortable.
Literally, my whole body hurts.
Look at what this truck has done to me. Just beat me the heck up.
It's gonna make one heck of a mess. I'm absolutely covered in coolant now.
Part of the disassembly process also includes draining the coolant because there are a ton of lines up top that need to be disconnected. And next, the upper radiator hose and the AC compressor can be moved out of the way. Don't worry, you don't have to drain any Freon. There's plenty of slack in the lines.
That's the end of page 1 instructions. As you can see, it's pretty dark, so I'll pick this up tomorrow when there's some sun.
Between the unboxing, looking over the instructions, cleaning the underside of the truck, and getting everything prepped, I have about 2 hours into the job on day 1. Keep in mind, I only have limited hours per day to do this after my full-time job.
Day 2. Hopefully I can get the actual CP4 out before it's dark. Unfortunately, I only have so much time until the sun sets. This should be fun. I'm in the right spot. There's like a nub in the way. The clamp is the whole reason I can't get this. I think I got it. Yes.
You guys are probably aware that a lot of these bolts and nuts are hidden and really hard to access. And the EGR cooler and EGR itself are no exceptions. That's why having a camera tool like this is really helpful. After removing part of the intake manifold, the EGR and EGR cooler, I can move on to the Y bridge, which is definitely not a fun job to remove. There are 8 bolts and nuts holding this thing on, and they are all buried.
This is a great time. Perfect timing. It has begun to rain. This is one of the jobs of all time. This makes you want to buy a Cummins immediately. Oh my God, it's out. God bless the guy that's gonna have to put that back in there. All right, come on, just give me enough daylight to get this thing out of here tonight. That's all I want. God, that's a lot of fuel lines. I have no idea where the other ones are.
Technically, the CP4 is only held on with 4 bolts. However, those 4 bolts are almost impossible to see or get access to, so here the camera comes in handy once again.
Hurricane latrine is coming in. This is great.
Despite my best effort on night 2, about another 2 hours into this job, I did not have the CP4 removed, and that's mainly because I ran out of daylight and it started raining. I love working outside.
All right, time to finish this thing for real. Hope the weather cooperates. And all the bolts. And I find all the sockets that I lost somewhere in the engine bay.
It's day 3 and I'm feeling good. It's the weekend. I've got the whole day just to finish up this truck. And that includes using all my nice oily tools from a transmission oil mishap in a previous episode.
Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, yeah. We're off to a great start. Wonderful.
With some fresh daylight, fresh energy, and a big pry bar, I was ready to get the CP4 out for good.
Seems like there may be a gap. Boy, it is not easy to get in there. Oh my God, it's loose. I've done it.
Another while you're in there is vacuuming out the center valley. Mine definitely looked like there were some critters living in there.
This, for one of what I'm getting, it's this. Oh, got it. Whew. Yes! Oh my God, finally!
thank God that's over. Now, putting it back together it's the light at the end of the tunnel. But I got to do some transferring of stuff between these two, like the gear, for example. One of the first things I'm supposed to do is pull this off and look for signs of metal contamination, which would be absolute worst case scenario. And phew, all good. That sucker is perfectly clean. That's excellent. The sensor's got to be transferred. Nice.
There are only a few things that have to be installed on the new CP3. A couple parts swapped over from the CP4, mainly the gear. There's also an adapter plate that needs to go on, and the fuel inlet and outlet fittings. And what's nice is this actually has less fittings than the old CP4, so it should in theory be a little easier to install back in the truck.
After quite the hassle, and I'm on my third day now, it's time to finally put this back in the engine, or not put it back, to put a fuel pump in the engine. I hope this goes well.
I also want to make it very clear that while you see me struggling, keep in mind I'm not a mechanic, so if any of you DIY guys at home are thinking you can't do this, I assure you, if I can do it, you can do it.
It was a big sigh of relief when I finally got the new CP3 in there in the valley, butted up against the cam gear, and bolted in. Next up were the fuel lines, which of course took probably the longest out of everything, just because there's so many of them.
I actually had a box of 50 donut holes, and I ate one every time something bad happened or something went wrong. They were gone in like an hour.
While this is a pretty big job and overall it took me about 12 hours, this is something you can do with standard tools, and I suggest anyone watching this who has an LML, go to Diesel Power Products, order up the CP3 conversion kit, and get it on your truck before something horrible happens and you have to replace the whole fuel system anyway.
Come up, gasket. Come up, gasket. Just a little bit.
Remember what I said about having this done on the end of day 3? Well, it didn't happen again because, well, it got dark. That tends to happen at the end of every day. But I really have this job 90% done, so tomorrow morning it should only take about an hour for me to finish this up completely and get this truck running again, if everything goes smoothly.
Now, since this thing is getting a coolant flush, it's also going to get some other fluids as well. We got all the maintenance stuff thanks to Doc's Diesel. That includes a cabin filter, new air filter, and of course, a bunch of oil. And it's perfect timing because my truck was due for an oil change. So we got oil filter plus a fuel filter. He also sent a tranny filter, which is pretty freaking sweet too. I'll also top off this fluid just a little bit. I'm not doing a full tranny flush because I don't have the tools to do that, at least not the right way.
Oil drained, oil filter changed, and transmission filter changed. Now is onto the fuel filter, which requires removing the fender well liner. What I really like about Doc's Diesel is their fitment is guaranteed, they have genuine quality, and it's easy to find the truck and purchase all the filters and maintenance items you need with just a few clicks on their website, and then it quick ships right to your door. They're the new standard in aftermarket diesel filters, and if you're military or a first responder, you get an 11% discount.
Now, we pump.
And this pump is actually how you prime the fuel system.
Fuel coming out, good. Got to put the intake on, fill it up with coolant, fill it up with oil, ready to start. Nerve-wracking for sure. Big thanks to Doc's Diesel. If you need anything like this or a whole maintenance kit for your truck, I'll have a link in the description box below. Go ahead and reset these. Nice. Brand new, beautiful Doc's air filter in there. Perfect fit.
With all the maintenance items completed, there was only one thing left to do. Finish buttoning up everything on top of the engine in the engine bay, and then go for its first fire up. But I wasn't necessarily feeling great about it.
There goes nothing. This might be the most nervous I've ever been starting any vehicle. Tell me if you hear anything strange. Not a good start.
After 12 plus hours invested into this job, the truck won't start. I tried multiple times, I tried priming it multiple times, and nothing. It just cranks and cranks and cranks. I wasn't sure what to do. I guess there's only one thing to do. Tear it all back apart. Tearing apart this truck that I just spent the last 12 hours putting back together was the absolute last thing I wanted to do. My only hope was that I could find a fuel leak or something obvious relatively quickly.
Guys, I have no idea how I missed this, but as I started diving deeper, I saw there was fuel. It looked like around that line. I go to touch said line, and I can literally spin it with my fingers. So somehow, I don't know how, I didn't tighten that up, but luckily I believe I can get to it right here with the AC compressor out of the way. But that would be why it's not holding pressure, at least one of the reasons.
Using a 17mm wrench, I tightened that line up for the first time, put everything else back together, and primed the fuel system.
I believe it's holding pressure.
However, even after fixing that leak, I had the same result.
This is a absolute worst case scenario. I don't know what to do.
So I dove back in the engine bay and looked around some more. I didn't see anything obvious. I didn't see anything leaking. Neither did the mailman.
How you doing? You too.
So after doing all that work for essentially the third time, I primed the system and gave it another go.
All right, here we go again. I have mediocre hopes, to be honest.
But to my surprise, it started.
Oh my God, it's working. I can't believe it's working. Everything seems normal.
Since I got diesel almost everywhere all over this thing, plus oil, plus coolant, plus my blood, sweat, and tears, I gave it a really quick wash. And then we can move on to the next round of upgrades. Yes, there's more. To put it simply, my hitch looks awful. It's really corroded, and I figured the best way to fix that is to powder coat it, and I got a powder coated Illusion Cherry to match my Cognito upper control arms. And there'll be other things coming in this color in the future. I also got some new LED license plate bulbs because mine were burnt out and flickering. And once the bulbs were in, I could maneuver the hitch in place, hoist it up, and get it bolted in. What do you guys think of the color?
All right, it is the next day. Let's make sure it still runs. Yes. I'd say it's 100% good to go. Now, while that was an absolute mountain of work, it's definitely worth it. Now I have peace of mind knowing that there's not going to be metal shavings thrown throughout my entire fuel system, causing like a $10,000 to $15,000 bill. The truck is running and driving perfectly better than ever. So now it's time to install something that I've been putting off for a long time because a company just came out with the perfect solution. You're going to want to see this.
These are some of the newest offerings from Boost Auto. These are their LumaStep M2s, and they're not just powered running board. They've got a whole bunch of lighting functions as well. So first up, I'm going to do some wiring. Depending on your options, there can be a lot of wiring that comes with these steps, but almost everything is plug and play. There's only 2 wires I have to splice in with my specific kit, and these have a ton of functions. As you'll see later in the video, these actually activate with your headlights and turn signals, etc. And how they do that is a simple plug and play harness that goes into the headlight connector itself. Couldn't be any easier. I got pretty much all the wiring done and installed the 2 brackets on the passenger side. Now it was time to test out and make sure they worked and I did everything correctly.
Let's see if I wired this up right. Yes.
As soon as that was good, I could throw the actual LumaStep boards on themselves. These things are generally easy to install and simply bolt on. So after I made sure both sides were powering in and out perfectly, I finished and cleaned up all the wiring in the engine bay, and here's the final product. All the wiring cleaned up really nicely, you can hardly see any of it, and if you think these things look great in the daytime, wait till you see them at night.
I feel like I can see everything all around my truck now. The Morimoto headlights are super bright and fog lights, and they work wonderfully, but now I have like a whole vision to my side. And what's nice is the running boards point low, like they're not gonna blind anyone. They just look pretty freaking sweet. And it's Boost Auto, so you know the quality is phenomenal. They match my cab lights perfectly. They match my tow mirror lights perfectly. If you haven't checked out Boost Auto, you gotta do it. I gotta give a huge shout out for Diesel Power Products. The CP3 conversion, while it didn't go exactly smoothly, it has everything you need in the kit and it works perfectly. The truck is running absolutely phenomenally. With that CP3 pump, I have complete peace of mind that this thing will be dead reliable like it's been the whole time I've owned it. And if you're thinking to yourself, man, I really don't want to put 12 hours into a fuel pump with my truck, well, consider this. You can do it at home because I did it. And also, do you want to put 12 hours into a CP3 pump swap, or do you want to put 12 hours into a CP3 pump swap after your CP4 has failed and ruin your entire fuel system? Because then you're doing the fuel tank, all the fuel lines, you're doing the injectors, and that price is astronomically high. I'll have a link to those and everything else I used in this video down below.